Academy peeps, and welcome. As you can no doubt see from the length of this video and also the title, this is a real-time video, and I haven't done one of these in a long while. And this one's going to be different than the other ones I have on my channel, and those I talked while I was working, but for this one I did not. But I'm going to come in every now and then and make a few comments if I have something to say about something that I did or thoughts on the process or whatever. But anyways, before we get into all of that, I would like to give a shout out to MK aka Morgan, who is the comment of the week. Thank you so much for all of your comments. I really enjoyed reading all of them, and thank you also for your video suggestion. Really appreciate it. I've been really wanting more suggestions for topics for videos because sometimes I just can't think of something to talk about. So I've been asking you all over here on YouTube, also on Patreon and things, about what I should talk about, and it's been really helpful. So thank you so much for all your suggestions, and also thank you so much for all your comments. I read all of you all's comments, and I enjoy reading comments and responding to comments. And if you would like to be the comment of the week, all you have to do is comment on any video. But anyways, today I'm going to be doing a watercolor painting of my OC Myrah, and this is an OC who's in the same story as my other OC, Lens. If you've been watching for a little while, you may know. I'm going to put a video of me drawing him in the iCard, so you can check that out if you like. But anyways, yeah, I don't really draw or paint or sketch this character that often. For no particular reason, I just don't. I have a lot of OCs. I have too many, so I kind of have to, I guess, pick and choose who I draw because I have so many. And while I do really like this character, she's not one of my favorites, I guess you would say, and I guess that's obvious by the fact that I don't really draw her as often. The last time I drew her that I recall was for the YouTuber Artist Style Challenge video that I did a little while ago, and I really liked how those drawings turned out, and that was really fun. You can watch that if you like. But anyways, yeah, I just don't really draw this character that often, and before I started working on this, I recalled painting this watercolor thing of this character years ago, and I don't know where that painting is, so I can't show it to you, but it was about this size. It's like a 9x12 sheet of paper. It was about that size, and it was a watercolor thing, and I remember pouring a lot of hard work into that bad boy, and I went outside and I took pics of it, and with like trees in the background and stuff, and it was really nice and really fun. So I kind of wanted to replicate that experience, but on better paper with artist grade paints and with new scale, because like I said, that was a while ago, like some years ago. I want to say it was around the time I was starting to kind of get back into watercolors, because I've kind of played around with watercolors on and off, especially when I was little, when I was a child. Oh my gosh. Anyways, I don't know why I did that, but anyways, I recall having a little watercolor set, and I would play around with watercolors and stuff, and it wasn't until my friend Turtle Bun Buns started posting like watercolor paintings on her Instagram that I was like, hold up, so those paints that I played around with when I was little can be used to make nice art? What? Oh my gosh. So I took one of my old watercolor palettes. It was the same one I had when I was a child, and it was actually my second palette because I had used it so much that my mom got me a second one. And I took that palette and I started doing little watercolor portraits and stuff with them, and it was really fun and really nice, you know. So shout out to Turtle Bun Buns for inspiring me to pick up watercolors after thinking that they were a medium for children or something. I don't know what I was thinking, but yeah, I'm so glad that she did that, like, for real, because like, watercolors are one of my favorite mediums to work with these days, and I don't know if I would have picked them up if it weren't for her. So thank you so much, Turtle Bun Buns, if you're watching this. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. So yeah, this painting started the way most of my drawings and things start, with a sketch. I really like sketching, especially in my sketchbook. But for whatever reason, this is like weird, and I don't know why this is, but for whatever reason, whenever I try to sketch on a larger sheet of paper, like the one I'm sketching on in this video, I have trouble getting the proportions right, and I do not know why. So, because of that, I kind of don't like working on larger sheets of paper because of that reason, because it's like, I don't really want to make a wonky drawing right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick a smaller sheet of paper, and that's usually what I do. But like I said, I was trying to replicate that old drawing. The colors are much different than that older drawing. In fact, a lot of things about this newer drawing is different than the older drawing, which I can show it to you. But like I said, I have no idea. I have no idea where that is. It's been years. So yeah, that's all I have to say for right now. So I guess I'll come back later and give you some more little nuggets. One thing that I did for this painting that I don't do super often is I did an underpainting. And I normally just do this on the face, but this time I was feeling fancy, so I decided to do it on the entire drawing. And what I do when I do underpaintings is I choose a blue, a yellow, and a red color, and I apply the blue in the shadow areas and yellow in the highlight areas, and then red in the blush areas of the face. But since I was doing this for like the entire drawing, not just the face, I still like applied those same principles. So I put like blue in the shadow areas and then yellow in the highlight areas. And for her afro, I put the red color. I think I used Vermillion this time. I put that on the edges of her afro because I was thinking about different ways that I could kind of replicate my coloring style for natural hair, like how I do it digitally, replicate that traditionally. And I figured out how to do it with Copics. I'm going to talk about my digital stuff first and then the Copics. So for coloring afros and curly hair in my digital program, I use like this chisel tipped like brush, and I block in the highlight colors, and then I kind of blend it out a little bit with a water brush, and then I set the layer to luminosity and I adjust the opacity of it. And for Copics, what I do is the opposite. So I use the chisel tip end of the marker and block in the shadows instead of the highlights, and I leave the lightest colors just there. If that makes any sense. So it's the opposite of, blocking in lighter colors, but I just do the darker colors instead, and that seems to work really well. And I really like how natural hair looks when I color it digitally. So like I said, just been trying to think of ways I could do that traditionally, and I can't remember at this moment if I've ever tried it with watercolors, but I was feeling adventurous. So you're gonna see all this later. Should probably talk about this later. Didn't think that far. But anyways, for the underpainting for her hair, I tend to lean towards orange highlights for brown hair when I'm coloring digitally. So I figured maybe I should just put this reddish color as the base for her hair, and it can poke through a bit when I go to color over it with my brown color. And hold up, can't remember what it looks like. So I'm gonna pull out my painting here because golly gee, my memory is so poor, and oh my gosh. Okay, so it does poke through just a little bit, but because it is so pastel and pale, it looks kind of pink, but it ends up matching her shirt, so it's fine. Underpaintings kind of act like a filter or a digital art layer mode, but for watercolors. But instead of adding whatever color you want to be like your, I guess unifying color is the word for it, instead of applying that last, like I typically do with my digital work, you would add that first. You wouldn't want to add it last because then you run the risk of ruining your colors, because watercolors can be reactivated with more water, and applying water, aka paint with water in it, on top of dried watercolors is kind of risky sometimes, especially if you're really scrubbing at the paper with your brush. So you really don't want to do that. So what you do is you do your underpainting first, and you could even do a wash of color over the entirety of your drawing, so that the entire drawing is unified by a similar color, like a one color, similar to how you would do in a digital program. For example, one thing I've been doing a lot with my digital stuff is using a luminosity and shade layer with the opacity really low of a color, let's say pink, over the entire drawing, and it just brings all the colors together. So like I said, for a traditional thing, you do that first with your watercolors instead of last, because that's risky. I don't want to do that. Yeah, also one thing, you didn't see this in the clips because I cut out the drying time. I have this little handheld heat gun thing that I use to dry my paints. You can also use a hair dryer. But basically what it does is just dries the paint in between layers. And that's basically what I did for, like, as I was adding the different colors, because, you know, you put two wet colors next to each other, they're gonna blend together and get your colors getting all mushy and stuff. Your colors can't get mushy. That was the wrong word. But you know what I mean. So to prevent my colors from mixing in undesirous ways, I dried in between layers, unless I felt like it was okay if the colors got mixed in some weird way. So, did see that. I just felt like, you know, I should definitely say that so you won't try that and then think, why have I created brown? So, yeah, I dried between the layers. And I always dry in between my layers. And just like if you are planning on getting into watercolors, or you are already a watercolor artist, watercolorist, is that what they're called? I don't know. Anyways, if you're doing that and would like to get into that, I highly recommend getting yourself a heat gun, or, like I said, use a hair dryer, because it is so much better than waiting for your paint layers to dry. Because before I had one of those bad boys, when I would paint, sometimes I would have to wait like an hour for a layer to dry, and the way I paint, I use several layers, so that would take a really long time, and I am a bit of an impatient artist. Sometimes I like to work really fast, and just having something that can dry my paint really, really quickly is so useful, because I get to just keep working, because it's just like so unfortunate when you're like in the zone and then you have to stop and let your paint layer dry. That's just not cool. That's just not it. So like the little heat tool is like super helpful, and I highly recommend you get yourself one of those bad boys, because oh my gosh, so helpful. as you have no doubt seen, I use a lot of layering, which I mentioned earlier. And I find that this adds a nice bit of depth to a piece, you know. And I really do like a lot of layers on the face, and then as I work my way to the rest of the drawing, I start to use fewer layers, mostly because I just don't mind as much of things, and other places aren't as rendered or super blendy and whatnot. And for things like the hair, it's like I want it to look kind of rough, especially her, like the fro part, because like the front of her hair is like slicked back, so like I don't necessarily want it to be like super rendered, but I would like to have like some highlight areas. But for like the rest of her hair, it's like I don't mind if it looks kind of messy, and you know, not super blendy and whatnot, because I think that look looks really nice. And for clothes, just in general, I tend to kind of neglect the clothes just a little bit and not care so much about the shading and whatnot. That makes me think of a question. Are there any like parts of a drawing that you just don't care so much about how it looks, whether that be like a shading element you maybe don't care about as much, or just like, I don't know, just something. Like I said, for me it's shading on clothes, and sometimes sort of kind of hair. I feel like especially since I do a lot of portraits and things, like I do a lot of character art, I feel like people are more likely to look at how a face looks in a drawing of a person rather than are the clothes blended really nice, or how is the hair blended, how did you shade that, you know. So I don't really worry as much or try to render it as much, which kind of backfires sometimes, especially when I try to do a semi-realistic digital portrait, because for those it would be weird to have like this fully rendered face, and then like a fully rendered face with no line art or anything, and then suddenly you have this shirt that has flat shading and line art. Like those two things, it just look kind of weird, I think. So when I'm doing like digital, like I said, semi-realistic digital portraits, when it comes time to shade the shirts, I'm like, how? Which is unfortunate. So I should really, I guess, just practice that a bit more and get better at that. Which has me thinking about something else. Since I'm not in school right now, at this moment, and I have more time on my hands, I've just been really in the mood to try a bunch of different things and just try to improve my art. So one thing that I started the other day working on was ears. Oh my gosh. I don't know why it's so difficult for me to grasp the concept of ears. Specifically, like just the random stuff that's just happening in there. It's like, how do you draw that? And it's like when I look at a picture of an ear, my brain is just like, I cannot compute. So it's just like I have trouble looking at a picture of an ear and then drawing that. So, I need to work on that. And that's another thing that kind of trips me up whenever I do some realistic digital portraits. When I get to the ear, I don't know what to do. I don't know what I'm doing, because normally I just do like a bunch of random lines in the ear and I call it a day. But for something that's a little more rendered, it's just, I feel like that just doesn't, I can't do that. So the other day I was practicing ears without a reference, which in hindsight, not smart. If you don't know how to draw something, get a reference, especially if it's something that you definitely know you don't know how to draw and do not understand the concept of. So I don't know why I was doing that, but what I'm going to do one of these days soon is I'm going to look at a bunch of pictures of ears, and I'm going to try my best to learn how to draw ears properly. And it's still going to be like not super stylized, but stylized. It's not going to be like a realistic ear, I'm going to like find a way to draw an ear that is somewhat anatomically correct in my style. So that's one thing I'm working on. And yeah, just like, you know, I just have more free time, so I just want to try a bunch of different things, which is also why I've been asking you all more for your what's the word for that? What's the word for that? I don't know. Hold up. Just to give me some ideas for videos. Also, just asking for your input on things, because I have more time to actually take suggestions and try my best to try new things. So that's really cool and that's really neat. And I'm also working on something else that I want to announce soon, but I'm still in the very early stages of it, so I can't announce it just yet. But hopefully it'll be something that you enjoy. And yeah, you know, I'm just really like excited right now. And I'm also like trying different things with editing as well. I'm just like super inspired to just do a bunch of different things right now. A grave mistake while I was working on this, and I have brought shame to my people, and I hope that you can forgive me. I accidentally whitewashed my own OC. I didn't think it was possible, but now I'm here to tell you that it is. It didn't hit me until later. I was messing around with some Instagram filters with my picture, which is something you can do if you want to have fun with your drawing. You can like go in their like story section of the app, and you could just like play around with the different filters for like faces and stuff. So I was doing that, and while I was doing it, I was like, this does not look like this right here, and that there is a problem. And because earlier I was just like, actually a few clips ago, the painting was so-called finished, and I had like put it up, and I was just like, this is it, it's done. But no. And normally I don't go back and fix drawings if they're challenged or if something is wrong, because especially if it's like traditional, like I don't want to mess it up. And I really like the shading on her face when I had called it finished, even though it really was not. And I was debating whether or not I should go back and change it, because the shading was just right, just the type of shading that I like for my watercolor paintings. It was blended enough, but also still kind of textured enough to my liking. But I couldn't do it. I could not do it, especially knowing that this character was supposed to have deep dark brown skin. Why in God's name would I do that? Why would I have this character with a skin tone similar to my own? No, I could not do it. So what I did was I came back almost a week later and I fixed the drawing. And I'm so glad that I did because of the skin tone. It's not quite what it should be. It's not quite like the reference that I showed you a little bit earlier. But it is definitely a lot better than what it was. It's a lot truer to the character now. So that's the thing that happened. I didn't know that you could do that. I didn't know you can whitewash your own character, but you can. And that was unfortunate. And I am glad that I went back and fixed it, like I said. Because like, especially since this is supposed to be a dark-skinned character, like, it just didn't feel right to just be like, oh well. So, yeah, I had to do it. I had to. And since I was going to be working on this painting again anyway, I decided to go ahead and render her hair just a little bit more and fix some things with her hair, because there's some chunks there that are just there, and they needed to have some more going on, especially this one on the left side. It wasn't even. The fro was not even. So I was like, since I'm here, I might as well go ahead and start fixing some things. So I fixed that. And yeah, I don't normally, like I said, I don't normally fix drawings, especially traditional ones, because you run the risk of messing things up, especially with a medium like watercolors, where the layer underneath you can possibly lift it. Especially, like, since I had already decided that, like, I love the shading and stuff, it was, like, super scary to, like, go back in and add more to it, because all that shading, it was gonna say bye. So, a little scared, not gonna lie. But since I normally layer a lot anyway with my stuff, I guess that took a little bit of the pressure away, because that's how I work anyway, so it's just like adding a new layer on top. So I had to kind of put that in my mind while I worked on this, so I wouldn't scare myself too much, and was still kind of nervous, not gonna lie, and a few times it was looking kind of shady, and I was like, this is kind of patchy, this is not blended as well as it was before, but I just sat there and I continued to work on it until it looked better. And I'm so glad that I did, because that is a crime I am not willing to commit. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to whitewash my own characters. I'm not going to whitewash any character, but, like, especially not my own. I'm not going to do that. So that is the end of my peeps. I haven't done a real-time video in a long time, and I edited it a bit differently than I did when I made them in the past. So I'd really like to know what you think about this style of editing, and at the moment I'm thinking about doing at least one real-time video a month, but I would really like your input on that. So let me know if this is something that you would like to see more of, and I'll see what I can do, my peeps. But anyways, this is how the drawing turned out. I hope you like it. There were some mistakes that were made along the way, but I think it turned out okay. So praise be to the Lord on that one. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Shout out to my patrons, Turtle Bun Buns, Ariana, Kelsey, Sister Donna 55, and Zachary. Thank you so much for being my patrons. I really appreciate you and everything that you do. I'm also on Coffee and Instagram and Artfol, so you can check me out over there if you like. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please enjoy the rest of your day, my peeps.